So I'm sitting here 10:30 in the morning eating Chinese and extremely focused. I've written a solar punk article this morning talking about education and how we were miseducated in the past, which leads to a lot of the issues we're seeing today with the mentality of youth and poverty and all of what you have. It was just a brief article, it doesn't go into a lot of detail. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what do we do as magicians? What do we do as occultists? And I think the problems we have within the world, the polarity, the issues that we see amongst each other and the divide we're seeing within the country and throughout the world is a part of education. We have been wrongly and woefully miseducated throughout the foreseeable past. And it's not to go into this conspiracy where we, Illuminati bullshit. I think we honestly, as a society, fucked up and thought that we knew best, and that preparing people for what we thought the future was, as if we had some type of foresight, where any true diviner who's worth their weight in any type of currency would know that that is a malleable process, not a solidified process. So we can't foresee the future, no matter how well we're analyzing the data, no matter how well our representation is as a psychic. We only see potential outcomes of the future, and any good person worth their weight in gold will know that. Like, we can increase probability, we can increase likelihood, but we'll never truly know the exact process. So I'm sitting here thinking about, how do we re-educate billions of people throughout the world who have been brought into a society that says follow and not lead. We're seeing the practice over the last 15 years. We're seeing the idea come forth that everyone needs to be a leader. Leadership's a good quality. But we're not seeing that in leadership that much. We're seeing that being taught, when we're starting to see the education system change from an authoritarian stance of this is the information, memorize it, to a demonstrative stance where tell me how you're understanding this and let's look at the narrative together. But in leadership, we're still seeing the authoritarian stance, and we're pushing against that and we're pushing back on it. And I think that's what we're having a problem with in the society, is we're seeing the education change. Education was a huge problem throughout the world for hundreds of years, I think, that indoctrinated your way of thinking. And we can define that into colonialism if you want, but we're not going to dig that way yet. But now what we're seeing is the people who have the authority, who have the power, that say what things should or should not happen, or leaders who should be guiding the ship, not making the ship row in certain directions or through influence, are now the next hindrance towards our education and freedom as a people. That kind of liberation, so to speak, of being able to do as you wish without true issues. And I say that, but then I'm going to step it back, because we still have a lot of people who are very square-minded, that there is their way or no way. And inside the small article I wrote, I discussed how a personal gnosis or personal knowledge through explanation should not justify a person's being right or wrong. It goes into opinion at that point because it can't be third-party verified. And that's why I think a lot of occultism and magic should not be as highly debated as people are debating it, in the sense, not debate's wrong, but in the sense that they have a standoffish approach that they're right when we truly don't know who is right in those matters. I digress. But we come from a stance, from many people come from a stance that their personal gnosis or knowledge from another source is accurate and infallible. And this comes from that educational system of the authoritarian approach of, this is the history book, it is right, when history books are being rewritten daily now. And yeah, it's just horrible how we're actually removing history so people won't get offended and all of that. And it makes me wonder, as magicians, as occultists, are we, in our daily practices, are we working towards improving the world to make it better, to make it more free-loving, to make it more open, more tolerant of each other? Or are we just working more, not for personal gnosis, not for personal gain, because like spiritual gain, that's the purpose of this, but are we working for more selfish endeavors as well, to where when we do these rituals, I want, people say, I want Trump to fail, so I'm going to do this black magic, or I'm going to do this magic for him, or I want Biden to fail, so I'm doing this magic to get him to fail, or I'm cursing this person, I'm cursing that person because they don't see how I see them. And why do we do that? And I'm not saying everyone does it. I think a lot of my listeners, I'm going to say all my listeners are probably more open-minded than that. But why do we do that when we could be saying, I want to cast this spell for the best outcome for all people, including myself? Because you don't know all. You can't obtain knowledge of everything within a reasonable time frame that will make it actionable. We live in the now, where we have limited resources available to us for knowledge and dispensable means. We need to make sure we're utilizing that in a correct fashion and doing what we can for the best possible outcome for all humanity. And I just leave you with that note. And I hope you guys get some gold from this somehow. Take that little piece of gold away from you and let it brew, let it think, and hopefully it advances your soul to become a better person and a better magician or occultist. So, have a good day, everybody.